The gospel changes everything. The gospel tells us that we're more wicked than we ever dared believe, but more loved and accepted in Christ than you ever dared to hope. It brings us to lay our life down for others because Christ has laid his life down for us. It brings us to be loving and generous to others because in Christ we have been given to so generously. It affects everything we do, including the way we do everything as a church. See, the gospel creates a new community, a unique community. And although we are saved individually by the gospel, we're saved into a community. Eugene Peterson, in his book Reverse Thunder, rightly notes that one of the immediate changes that the gospel makes is grammatical. It's we instead of I, our instead of my, us instead of me. So Christians who are eternally united to Christ are therefore eternally united to one another. We all are ministers of the gospel for the sake of one another. This kind of new community is not an extra thing for the Christian, an optional thing. Instead, it's part of the overall purpose of God's mission to a lost and broken world, advancing his kingdom. A new community, see, is both the end of the gospel and also the means of spreading the gospel. Therefore, the Bible assumes significant community life within the church. And since our culture knows very little about true community, we'll have to work really hard at following a biblical vision. The biblical vision to be a worshiping community, praising God for who he is and what he's done, an accepting community reflecting on the grace that we've been given in Christ, a holy community urging one another to live God-pleasing lives, encouraging one another, building each other up, a community that's sacrificially generous, spending our life and wealth on the needs of others. In today's world, this community life often does not happen organically, and so we must cultivate it. And our attempt here at TCPC to cultivate that community life is organizing the church into small, nurturing communities, into community groups. And the purpose of these community groups is to develop a primary Christian community where Jesus Christ is experienced in his presence and power, and where lives are transformed by the gospel through mutual ministry together. See, Christian growth is not merely intellectual enlightenment or simply behavioral change, but a whole life transformation. It's not merely personal, but includes growth into a community. It includes growth as a community, truly creating a city on a hill, creating a contrast society centered on the gospel. God is working here at Treasure Coast Presbyterian Church. Will you join in on what God is already doing in our midst?